Leslie, are you grounded and centered?
Yes,
My grounding cord is green.
light blue.
Jean-Vive, I'm having a little trouble hearing your microphone. Is it the same for you, Leslie?
Okay, mine is green also.
Thank you. Can you declare your personal bubble of space? And you can join me in declaring a golden cube of workspace for this court case. This golden cube contains all three of us in it. Leslie, you have already done a lot of work. Just need to rearrange my screens quickly. You've made a list of everyone who's pressured you and what they've pressured you about. Do you know who these people are?
Yes, my father, my mother, and my sister.
Great. The role that Geneviève and I will play is to listen to you as you tell us about how each of these people have pressured you, about who secretly holds a gun to your head or a knife to your throat so that you pressure yourself. We will listen to you explain the evidence you use to prove where the pressure comes from. Geneviève, you and I will listen to Leslie and we'll ask her questions so that she can really get clear on how it is that she interacts and creates it that
That's true.
would you begin, Leslie?
Yeah. So my father pressured me to be compliant, to be good-natured, no bad moods.
When?
From the time I I want to say 5. Five. My yeah. It was like I was kind of, as the youngest, I was given the role of the daddy's little girl, or the one who was going to turn out okay, or because yeah, both of my sisters had emotional problems starting in their early teens. So
How did the pressure work? Did he look at you? Did he how do you know that?
he had a temper. He had a lot of tension in him, and he would do he would do this positive reinforcement kind of, you know, I would come to hug him when he got home from work because I knew he liked that. And he I don't know. Yeah, and there was nothing wrong with that. It's just that there wasn't space for me to have the feelings I was having. There wasn't an invitation or an opening for me to say, I had a bad day. I'm upset with my
How
sister.
did he do that?
Just by being tense, by sometimes yelling, not at me usually, but he definitely made it known that he was, that his anger was going to set the stage for what could happen and not happen. He did it with the fear. Yeah, I guess he was invoking fear, or he was not consciously, but he was using his inability to negotiate and to listen.
Be really clear here, Leslie. What was the implied threat?
To me.
Yes.
Well, I used to dream about that he would kill us all, that he just one way or another, he would drive us into the wall, or he would something with his driving. The the implied threat was him being disapproving and me feeling bad or feeling restricted, or
The implied threat is that he would kill you all.
yeah, that he just didn't have control of his own reactivity.
So
And
you had to do what because of that threat?
I had to learn how to be like invisible. I had to, I had to stay safe. I felt like I needed to stay safe, stay out of his way, stay cheerful, do things that I knew he liked, please him. Mm-hmm.
You had to please him or he might lose control and kill you all.
Yeah, I think that was in the it was operating. That was operating in my head, in my heart, in my young child memory or experience.
Thank you, Leslie. It's clear to me how your father pressured you. Do you have anything on this, Genevieve?
No, I don't have anything else. For me also, I can see how it pressured you. Yeah.
Who's the second person on your list, Leslie?
My mother, she, um, yeah, I didn't think of it as pressure, but she, when I was upset with my father and talking to her about it, she would make, she would say, he doesn't hear himself. He doesn't know what he's doing or something like that. And so she basically was demonstrating that there's nothing to be done. There's just see it for what it is. He's unable to change or unable to see the impact of his behavior and or to control himself. And so
How did it go? How did she pressure you?
Mhm.
she wouldn't she she couldn't she didn't listen to my feelings and my need to talk about the experience. She didn't, she listened long enough to say he can't hear himself. She
And what was the threat if you kept talking or wanted to change something?
of of losing my mother's affection and the amount of um losing her confidence or her yeah, just that she wouldn't be as willing to listen to me as much as she did listen. She would listen less. She would reject me. She would put me off and withdraw from me.
And was it all only with your father's behavior when you wanted to speak about your father's behavior, or with other subjects?
And my sister's behavior also. Say similar, not exactly the same, but I can't remember what, I don't remember if there was an excuse. It was more like, well, she's lonely and she doesn't have friends and you have friends. And it was like this pressure um to be to take in this person who was not someone I enjoyed being around most of the time. Well, no, this pressure to be engaged with my sister because she didn't have friends and she was sad. And to take it on and to be her friend and to share my friends with her.
Or what would happen?
I guess that I would feel guilty that because she made it important, it was something I felt guilty and angry about. I felt pressured and I felt angry, and I feel guilty that she's so miserable.
So it was her being miserable that pressured you.
Yeah,
The threat was that she would keep being miserable.
that the threat was that I would become someone I couldn't stand. I I I felt so pressured that I rejected her outright. And I didn't, being around her, I was triggered all the time. And so I was afraid that my friends would see that, would, see how much of a bitch I was. And I was afraid that I was afraid that people would my friends would see that, and that I was trapped. I was trapped. I had this
But
sister.
by who? Be really specific.
I was trapped by her needs. I was trapped by my parents' expectations for me. I was trapped by my own guilt. I was pressured to keep these things in the top of my mind for years.
Or else what? Or else your parents would do what? Your friends would do what?
Don't know if I thought they would all reject me. I mean, I wasn't pressured by my friends to be friends with her, although they weren't as triggered as I was when I did bring her. So there was something that freaked me out about that. Like, I couldn't believe everyone wasn't freaked out. Yeah, wasn't triggered. So there was something that made me doubt my own ability to have a clear perspective on what was happening, or who I was, or who she was, or I hated being triggered so much and being seen triggered seen being triggered.
Leslie, it's really important to get very clear on who was pressuring you. Or in the case such as this, it sounds like you had a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yeah,
But who is holding a gun to your head?
nobody.
Who was holding a gun to your head?
Even if you don't save your sister?
I guess my father I was most afraid of. Hmm. Yeah, I was most afraid of him.
And that he would do what if you didn't save your sister?
Withdraw his love from me.
I want you to just check really carefully. Was there anything like that from your friends, from your mother?
I was afraid. I wanted to be loved. And I didn't I I don't know if there was something from my mother. I did see my mother could get very cold. So maybe I was afraid of her withdrawing. And I was afraid of my friends withdrawing because of how triggered I was.
Thank you, Leslie. Are these the main places in your life where you've been pressured?
Um,
Is there something else?
just thinking of um, to the pressure to adapt, just to in order to have friends or to be a certain way or to be as popular as the popular kid or kids or what. Yeah, the pressure was yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I'm blocking something, but
I'm just checking. I'm just checking if there's
yeah.
anything else you want to get out.
I no, not right now.
Okay, Leslie, it's time to confess. How have you avoided radical responsibility all these years? Perhaps since you were born.
I see that there were opportunities, or that there were times I might have said, you know, Daddy, slow down the car, or I'm getting out, or something, or saying, I want you to listen to me. I want you to I want you to know just how upset I am about Sharon coming home from the mental hospital. I want you to listen to me and not tell me, not try to quiet me down, or not, and to hear my feelings, that these were ways I would have made, instead of complaining to my mother, I could have spoken to both of them and made connection, and put myself out a little bit to say, yeah, this is a problem for me. This isn't working for me.
And what did you do instead?
I learned to withdraw. I just found all kinds of ways to get the hell out of the house, lock myself in my room and do bead work. Start working with mentally retarded people when I was 13. Just everything I did was pulling out of the family. And I think those things were great. They weren't self-destructive things to do, but they were, it was like a decision. It was like, no, I'm getting out of here, instead of what can I do? How can I make this a better experience for all of us, or something, for me anyway. I think that was the biggest, the withdrawal and depression. I started getting depressed. I guess that's a kind of withdrawal and depression, or can be similar. Would you ask the
Keep
question
going. How
again?
did you destroy your own radical freedom?
Yeah. I decided that that
What was that, Leslie?
that they weren't worth it. I don't know
Hold
how.
on. What was that face you made?
That's what I was thinking, and I thought, but that's not how I destroyed my radical freedom. It's like I didn't take responsibility for how things were affecting me. I just reacted in my way, by withdrawing and by being cold, by being
Yeah, and stay slow.
by
Are you feeling, what are you feeling?
yeah, am I feeling?
You are feeling. What are you feeling?
I feel angry because I I I chose this adversarial way of being instead of kind of saying what I wanted, and then if they didn't want that, then making a choice, but not out of blaming them, feeling like I had to. I
Keep
had no
going.
choice but to get away. I had no choice.
How else did you destroy your own radical freedom?
I um I took money from my father for college and for living outside of the house. 17, I started. Um, yeah, and he supported me throughout my college years, and I can't remember how long, but I didn't think twice about taking money from him. I felt I had this privilege, and I mean, I deserved.
And what did that do to you?
Yeah, it just gave me a very false sense of both dependence. Okay, yeah, how I was creating my dependence, how I was probably manipulating my father to make sure the money kept coming in, and how I rested in the money and uh, not having to work as much as other people. Or
And what did that do about the pressure for yourself?
I was in a kind of denial about uh, what it takes to be an adult. I was using it as an excuse. I was saying To some people, I said I'm a poor student. And then on the other hand, I was asking my father for money. So I
Does
was
this have to do with the pressure from your father or something about something else?
something about integrity. It just, I think I think he knew just how little integrity I had around money, around my relationship to money. Mm.
And what does that have to do with the pressure?
Or with the freedom? I would ask the same question, but about freedom, radical freedom.
Well, the pressure was to to earn a living. It was a mixed message from him to earn a living, and he would keep giving me money. So the pressure was yeah, and the pressure was to that he wasn't even gonna he wasn't gonna save me from my dependence on him. He never stopped. I mean, he never said, I won't give you any more money. So the pressure was to make that decision myself. The pressure was to get into integrity with myself. But in terms of the pressure that how I yeah,
Leslie, you're confusing yourself. This is at time for what we have for your court case. For now, I want to check what amount of remorse do you feel about how you gave up your own radical responsibility in these moments where your mother and father and possibly other people pressured you.
yeah, I have remorse. I have a a clear picture of how I might have done it differently. And I'm sad that I didn't do it, didn't take the responsibility and go for connection. And
Would you touch into that sadness just for a moment right now? Do you feel the remorse of not having gone down that path?
I do.
Let that be there as a tiny seed.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
I mean, the remorse is a tiny seed. No, I don't understand. I don't understand how it can be a tiny seed.
What did you say, Genevieve?
Okay, I don't know what I'm computer. I don't understand how the remorse can be a tiny seed. Did I understand? Did I hear it well?
Yes, the remorse is grief about having given up radical responsibility, at having allowed others to pressure her.
Mhm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Genevieve, would you like to go?
Okay, I'll go. The first persons who pressured me was, of course, my parents, my dad and my mother. For my dad, we always had to be, don't shout, don't make noise, be there, but be nice. Otherwise, there are much more important things to do in life than to take care of silly things, childish things. And and for my mother, it was always, well, you know, life is difficult. Don't make it more difficult for us. Life is a struggle. Well, I understood very early. She lived in the war also. She lived, and this impacted her life a lot. So life is a struggle. Be careful. And this pressured me. But I felt pressured because don't make noise, don't be, and don't complain. Just life is, it is just like that. Life is difficult. You don't have to complain. Okay. So the way with those kind of,
Or what? How did it work that she pressured you to not complain?
how did it work? It was, she, she just said, don't complain. I don't have time for that. Don't complain.
And
But
what
not,
was the threat? What was the threat behind that?
I couldn't find the real threat. It was just me and my sisters or
So
with
it's
time.
important, Genevieve.
We didn't find.
It's important to find the threat. How come you listen to her? Your mother says, don't complain.
Mhm.
How come you listened?
How come did I listen?
What
I
made you
just
stop complaining?
I just stopped. When
There
someone
was,
gave me an order, I just stopped. I just hide. I just stop.
yes. And what is the implied threat if you don't listen to the order? What is the implied threat? What is the consequence of not listening to the order?
Anyway, she will not listen anymore. She will not listen. Just she put us away. In the corner. She put us in the corner. And she will continue what she has to do. Will not listen anymore. Except for if she decided, "Oh, okay, now you have 5 minutes. What do you have to say?" And after, all right, 5 minutes is gone. Go. So, the consequence is just she doesn't. Well, we are not important anymore. Even
Okay,
though
thank you.
I'm sure she didn't think like that, but this is what we felt. What I felt and what we felt.
Yes. Who else pressured you?
My Even when I was an adult, my boss, I found a boss, perfect boss, who pressured me that I she asked so much job, so much tasks. She had tasks, she had tasks, she had tasks. And when I left, and I was not able to say it too much. Or when I said it is too much, I cannot do all of this, she didn't listen. And she said, well, just do it, just do it. So, and I was not able, this is a part I would like to fight against myself, because even as an adult, I was not able to live
And
off
and
them.
so what was she pressuring you to do?
She pressured me to do too many tasks. So the way I found to do it is to bring the job at home and to work evenings, to work weekends, to work in order to do all the job I had.
And if you didn't do that, what was the consequence?
And maybe I should have been fired, I think. Or this is what I I was frightened of. But I don't remember she told me, if you don't do it, you
Yeah, what was the implied threat?
I fired myself. I she didn't she never told me I would be fired, but this is
Yes.
the threat I invented. I thought it was
Do you
my
know the
boss.
word do you know the word implied, Genevieve?
What is the consequence?
Yes.
I
And
think
so it doesn't have to be said. So I'm hearing you're saying that implied threat was you would be fired.
this is what I suppose. Yes. Mhm.
And what would be the consequence of being fired?
The money, the money. I was a single mother, and it was very difficult with my ex-husband. He didn't give money, etc. So I was really frightened, really frightened. So I didn't have energy to find another job and to say, can I do something else? Can I look for another job? I just, the thing came, but no, I don't have the energy to do that. My answer was that. So I stayed. So this is how it was. It was when. And the third person who pressured me a lot, well, I found really good persons in my life. My husband, he pressured what was the threaten? He never said he would leave, and he never left. But for example, once I wanted to go to see a friend at the hospital, and I didn't know the way to go. I said, well, I will take the car. It was our car. I will take the car. I will go to see him. But can you just tell me where it is around in the town, where it is? Because he knew he was driver, etc. And she said, no, it is too far. I will drive you. And I said, no, because I want to have time to be with my friend and just, no, I will drive you. But we went to see my friend. Well, he stayed in the car. I told him, he told me just half an hour. I said, no, I don't want that. But okay. And when I came back, he just said, I told you just half an hour. And he left, and I was in the town. I didn't know where to go. So I was not able to stand to say, no, I will go alone. I was not able to fight that at that time. The threat was, I will leave you there. And she did it. It is not just a threat. She did it. He left me in the town. Oh, it was difficult. Oh, last week I told you about when I was ill at the end of our relation for university. Yeah, I typed his memory, university memory, maybe 3 times, and he never gave it to the university. The threat, what was it? It was, you must be, you are my wife, you must do it for me. You are my wife, you must do it for me. And I didn't find a way to not to do it at that time. Really, it is not, well, at that time I didn't see it as a decision that I was not able to fight this. When we came in Canada, she didn't work for 1 year because he finally decided to write that memory, and even then he didn't give it back. But I was alone to work, to bring the money, to take care of my daughter, to bring her to the daycare, and I was like that at that time. So, but what the threatening was, what? We did it together, we chose it together, we came here together. You cannot, and I didn't have the idea to leave or to choose something else. I was married.
So the threat was that what would happen if you said, no, I will not write your memoirs.
I was not
You,
conformed.
yeah,
I was not conformed to rules. To rules I accepted.
right, because that's what you did, and then there was something driving that. There was something, whether it wasn't conscious, but what made you, what was the threat that would happen if you didn't, if you said, no, I'm not doing that?
That's what is internal. It was not my husband who said
Yeah.
that. I am not conformed. The threat is I am not conformed to my engagement. When you engage in something, to my engagement,
Yeah.
commitment. I am not conformed to my commitment, and this is impossible for me.
Because,
I must honor my commitment.
Or what?
yeah.
Or I need to be thrown away.
What might happen is that you need to be thrown away.
Mhm.
That would be the only choice of the person threatening you. If you didn't honor your commitment, what was thought as your commitment.
I found that is difficult because it is. I really know it is my behavior. They didn't say that, but
Yes, they did not
I.
say that, but it was the threat.
Mhm.
So there's all of these instances, Genevieve, of
All of
people
this was.
pressuring you.
Mhm.
There are all of these instances of people pressuring you to somehow not have your own space,
Mhm.
to not speak up, to not be able to have things, either physical space or energetic space or emotional space.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of evidence for how they would have pressured you to do that. Have you been blaming these people as persecutors in your lifelong low drama?
Yes, I did, but in parallel, I always felt that if I was able to respect what I felt inside, it should have changed my life. But I was not
Yes.
strong enough.
And for now, can you say that you have been blaming these people
I
as your
have been.
persecutors? You have been.
Yes, I have been. Mhm.
Thank you.
I have
Now
been.
is the time for you to confess. Explain how you have avoided radical responsibility all these years, perhaps since before you were born.
First of all, it is by not recognizing or not taking care of my
And go really
feelings.
slowly, Geneviève.
The first one is not having take care or take, even when I see it is not correct for me, or it is, in fact, I did not take care of that feeling. After 3 years of marriage, I knew I, I must leave, but I didn't respect that inside of me. I stayed. I stayed there. I accepted what was going on.
You did
So
not take care of your feelings.
yes,
You
yes,
stayed in your marriage.
yes.
Let's try just doing a repetition with it. After 3 years, you knew to leave your marriage and you stayed.
After 3 years, I knew I must leave that marriage, but I stayed.
After 3 years, you knew you must leave that marriage, but you stayed.
After 3 years, I knew I should leave, but I stayed.
What are you feeling?
My feeling is I am glad after I left, I finally left. I finally feel
And
strong
right
enough.
now,
Right
yeah,
now, I
and
feel
right
joy
now,
to, right now,
yes.
I feel joy it belongs to the past.
As you repeat what Dawe was saying, which was what you said,
Mhm.
how does that feel?
Sad, very sad.
Yeah,
It feel, it feels very sad to be in that, to keep in that situation.
Yeah.
It's very sad and not respecting myself.
yeah. You did not respect yourself.
Yes, I did not respect myself. Mhm.
And slowly, say it slowly. You did not respect yourself.
I did not respect myself.
You did not
I did not.
respect yourself.
I did not respect myself, for sure.
Let the
How,
feeling
how, yeah, go, Leslie.
allow the feeling of I did not respect myself.
So if I let it come, it is sadness, but and anger, anger.
Yeah.
It's been anger, a lot of anger. I am angry about myself, about that that behavior. That I missed myself. I missed myself. I don't trust myself. I'm angry of not trusting myself.
Yeah.
Genevieve, sometimes when you talk about what you're feeling, it's almost like you're talking about it is a cover up for allowing yourself to feel. It's you come in quickly to say like I am angry. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure because I'm not sure I know what you are talking about because it is not the first time I realized that. Uh,
Yes. Leslie, do you know what I'm talking about?
I I know that this is not about that you're doing something wrong, Genevieve. This is about a survival strategy that Dawe sees, that I see, that there's a leap over your feeling to say the feeling. And you that's not always the way it is. You do also sometimes You go right to the feeling. So I know you know what that is.
So Leslie, so you have clarity about it also. And so what's the invitation you would make to Genevieve about this?
So I would invite you to do the repetition again and just let yourself feel. Don't even go through your mind. You have to say say the words and then go to your heart. Something's happening now.
Just what does my heart have to say?
Well, what does your heart have to say?
Sadness. Sadness.
Leslie, would you give her the first repetition?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Just go with what you have.
Yeah. You feel sad.
I feel sad.
Genevieve, you grieve the loss of the years that you didn't follow your heart. You
I
grieve,
feel the grief. I
yes.
feel the grief of following my heart for years.
You feel the grief of not following your heart for years.
I feel the grief of not following my heart for years. I feel the grief of not following my heart for years.
Yeah.
Thank you, Genevieve.
Thank you, Genevieve.
I feel you're feeling the pain of the remorse about this.
Yeah.
And there's time to do maybe one more instance for you. So in one of the other moments where you've been pressured in your life, it's time to confess. How have you avoided radical responsibility?
I avoid my own radical responsibility by hiding, by not speaking,
Which instance are you talking about? Who was pressuring you?
especially my husband.
Okay, your husband with the car. Are you referring to that? Okay, you're feeling, just keep
Many,
feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so many situations.
yeah. Just open your mouth a tiny bit, just a crack. Just stay with your body. Yeah, this is the remorse of having allowed yourself to have been pressured.
Many situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to make sense of all of the situations. Just keep feeling that you were avoiding radical responsibility all those years. You let yourself be a ghost. Would you give the repetition?
I, I let myself be a ghost. I was a ghost.
You were a ghost.
I was a ghost. I was a ghost. I was his ghost.
You were his ghost.
I was his follower, his ghost.
You were his follower. You
I was
followed him.
I followed him. I was his hand. I was his an employee. I was his
You were
hand.
his employee.
Yes.
And you, Genevieve, would you take a breath and notice if you shake your head and raise your eyebrows? Just notice when you do that.
When I do that,
Just, yeah, take a breath and notice that you do that. And make, and yeah. Um, s- this is, what is this when you do that?
what is this? It is, I want that cover. I don't want it back, that cover back. I don't want it to come back in a way. It is like I feel now when we speak like that, it is like I feel when I was like that. It is like a cover, very, very heavy cover.
So
Very,
you feel
very
like
heavy.
you're,
So I
oh,
want to throw it out again.
okay. It,
This is what
just to reflect, it didn't look like that. It looked like what's wrong with me? That was how I read your body language. And
no,
this
no.
is a different message to me.
Okay. Mhm.
Thank you, Geneviève.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have anything else to say, Geneviève, about your confessions? Other confessions you would like to make?
But I committed I commit more and more to take care of my feelings and to follow my feelings, to follow my my heart or what I sense.
Right now is not the space for declarations.
Okay,
It's
so
just to confess.
okay,
It is just to confess how you've avoided radical responsibility. And I'm asking if there's any other confessions about any other people you want to make.
no, no, I'm done. No,
Okay. Just stay with the remorse that you've been feeling. The remorse about having chosen to be a ghost. The remorse about not respecting your feelings. That you did not respect your feelings. And just let that remorse be there. That remorse gives you space outside of pressure. That remorse is your access point to new agency. Okay, thank you, Geneviève.
thank you, thank you, darling. Thank you.
It's my turn.
I'll read the
What are the questions?
he put in the chat the questions.
Yeah, I sort of just paraphrased some of the wording, a lot of the sentences I did not read.
Okay.
So just pick the ones that you think are the right ones to read.
Zoe, who pressured you?
My mom, uh, my mom still pressures me. Yeah, I hear it when she tells me about people doing emotional intelligence work at her company. I I hear it when she tells me I have to write. It's this pressure to somehow become famous, to be some big speaker in the world. There's a really specific moment in my life that I remember the pressure. It
Yeah.
was 20, it was 2016, and I can remember the room I was in. I was on the phone with my mom, and I told her I want to that I wanted to start a music venue. And what I really get right now is that the music venue was a way to hold space for transformation. And I remember my mom being angry at me on the phone and saying to me, "It's not the right use of your potential. It would be a waste of your life." And so the pressure was something like the threat was something like I would have to live with the judgment of my mom that I've wasted my life. Yeah, the threat would be that she would energetically make me into a worm.
Yeah. Threat that she would energetically make you into a worm.
Yeah, and I would believe it. And that she would withdraw her love. That mostly what I would get would be yelling and conflict.
Yeah. Threat that was that she would withdraw her love, and that you would get yelling and conflict.
Yeah, the threat would was that she would make me into a failure energetically, that she would view me as a failure. And it was about so many things, about going to graduate school, about the job stuff, about grades.
Yeah, in all those areas, you would believe you were a failure
Yeah,
because,
and she would believe I was a failure. And I didn't want my mom to believe I was a failure.
yeah. And if she did, if she believed you were a failure, what then?
Yeah, that somehow I would have to take that on, that she's the one that made my reality is how it works. And and so I would be one in my own eyes, and then I would have a life of agony. I would have just a miserable life, believing I was a failure.
Yeah.
That like the torture of my life would never stop.
Is there more you would say about being seen as a failure and feeling like a failure?
Nothing, nothing particular comes up. Do you have do you have more of a question?
Yeah. Can you describe, you said a worm. Can you
Yeah,
describe a worm's life?
yeah. Like I would be in pain, like in physical pain with fear in my stomach, and kind of like wriggling around, just like feeling like I was cursed to never be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the threat. Was like to have that become my life somehow. Like I never can figure out how to make it.
And there'd be a pain in your stomach and you'd be wriggling around in pain.
Yeah, it's just like that fear and self hatred,
Yeah.
self torture.
Is there someone else who pressured you?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I feel it in in possibility management, like um some kind of pressure from the trainers of uh sexuality is bad. Uh, like even asking mental questions is bad. Um, Laughing is bad. Having fun is bad. Not worrying is bad.
Not worrying, that's right. Not worrying is bad.
Yeah, having fun. Having ordinary fun is bad.
Like what kind of ordinary fun?
Uh, Riding my bike or something. Dancing is bad.
Yeah. So you
And
feel pressure from possibility management about
Yeah,
that these things you like to do are bad.
yeah,
what is the threat?
yeah. The threat is they'll judge me. They'll they'll close me off energetically, like energetically kick me out of possibility management, whatever that means. Um, they won't help me anymore. And the threat is that I'll never make it to um hold on, what is it really? Yeah, it's something like I'm condemned that that they would curse me or I don't know how it works, but that the threat is that I'm somehow cursed, that it means something about me, that I'm bad, that I won't make it, that I will just stay stuck in modern culture. Um,
You're saying you
I
would be
feel like
a failure in possibility management?
it's not quite that. It's like a failure of a human being. I'm afraid to do those things because it means that I would be a failure, that I want to do those things. So I don't really have clarity on how this threat is made. Yeah, I'd like help getting a little more clarity.
Yeah, how do
It's
you
like if I
yeah.
have um do like exploration of sexuality or something, then I'm a white widow or a handsome holy tribal man and I'm irredeemable somehow. So so the threat is I'm struggling a little bit because I don't get how they do this to me. Um, but that's the consequence is that I'm somehow uh not just like labeled by them as this, but that I am that, and that means there's no hope for me.
And what does no hope for you result in?
Um, that I will never make it, that I will always be in a state of having to get better or Yeah, not being good enough.
I see a parallel between what you were just saying about your mother and what you're saying about possibility management. Do you see that?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's somehow that they can curse me or something like that.
Yeah, that if they
Yeah,
believe
that
it, it's so, it's true.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then my last one is even more bizarre. It's it's everyone in my high school. It's like everyone in my high school and my teachers included have somehow expectations of me that I would become really important or really rich or really powerful and like if I let them down by like I can't be with them now because they would think I didn't do that. And so somehow it's like a pressure to not be happy, a pressure to um fulfill their wishes or they would be embarrassed about me. The threat is they'd be embarrassed. They'd think less of me. They'd um yeah, I don't quite know.
If they were embarrassed and thought less of you, what might they do?
They'd laugh about me. I just wouldn't have a place anymore. I wouldn't have a place. It's like my puzzle piece in my high school is a certain shape, and they're only keeping that certain shape open for me.
And then what would happen once they replaced you?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have a spot. I wouldn't have a place there anymore. I'd be kicked out of the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pressure is to be a certain shape, to be a certain thing. And the threat is that this is the only space we have for you. That's all we want from you. We don't want anything else. We don't have time. We don't have time for anything else. We don't have connection that supports you being anything else. Our connection is only you being this thing that we know about and are comfortable with.
Yeah. Now wait, what's under all of this?
Fear.
Who who is under all of this? Who are you most feel the knife to your throat from?
My mom.
That your mother can, by what she thinks, can make you into a worm.
Yeah, it can take away my sense of place in the world.
Are you ready to make a guilty plea?
would I be pleading to?
You would be pleading guilt for blaming the people, your mother, your high school, the middle one, the friends. You
The
possibility
trainers.
management.
Management.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for making all of them persecutors in your life. It's time to confess.
yeah, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of making my mom and possibility management and my high school, everyone in my high school, my persecutors.
Yeah. Go.
Uh, would you give would you give me something to start with?
Yeah. You believed their you believed the worst possible. I'm sorry. Genevieve, if you have something, say.
Yes. How do you, how did you avoid responsibility of 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 doing what you like to do also? Otherwise, you will be kicked out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
A radical responsibility would have been when I had that phone call with my mom about what I wanted to do with my life would have been to trust myself, would have been to feel what I was feeling. And I hid. I I loved the feeling of safety more than I loved being alive and having my own adventure.
Yeah, you loved the feeling of safety more than being alive and having your own adventure.
Yeah, I've been worried about what people think. I care so much about what people think. I I ignore what I think. I'm unwilling to even write down what I think. I give up knowing what I think. I'm scared. I play scared.
We're scared of being kicked out of the group.
Oh, of people thinking I'm stupid or silly.
Yeah.
I'm scared of being misunderstood. It's like everywhere I am giving my authority to my high school friends, to the trainers, to my mom. I'm always checking what they think. I know what I think. I know what I think, and I don't let that matter.
Yeah. You don't let that matter. You
I'm
you
afraid of what I think.
you're afraid of what you think. Yeah,
I'm afraid of what I think.
because
Yeah, I've wasted. I mean, I feel kind of numb to it. I've wasted at least. I mean, I've wasted more than this, but at least 8 years of my life caring about what other people think.
Wasted at least 8 years of your life with that.
Yeah, I've wasted at least 8 years of my life caring about what other people think. I've been stuck in some stupid battle with them. Like, what I really get is I put myself in a box with them, um, or like I put like a rubber band around me and them, and I'm like trying to struggle in that when there's so much else out there.
Yeah, you put yourself in a box with them with a rubber band around it.
Around us. It's like I'm only caring about like going back and forth in the rubber band when I don't even need to be in the rubber band.
Yeah.
What amount of remorse you feel that?
No, I don't know, like 30%.
30% remorse.
Yeah, I'm feeling some. I could feel a lot more.
Yeah. They yeah, because we're close to time, I want to express that this feels like it's right in the middle, and there's more than 30%
Yeah,
that it's worthwhile and important to get to.
yeah, and I'm okay with stopping here.
Yeah. Yeah. 30% is more than 0%. Thank you, Dowie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the last sentence of this experiment was that feeling this remorse gives you 1 cubic centimeter of chance.
Yeah.
Thank you, team, for holding space for each other and for creating that cubic centimeter of chance inside you.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.